Okay, so hi, I'm so happy to be here. Huge thank you to Michelle and Aaron for hosting this weekend. Priceless opportunity to get together, isn't it? To learn, to get to know each other. And thank you all for being here. It's so fun to see people we know and to meet the new folks. I know how hard it is to come to your first WAGR weekend, how overwhelming that is. I promise you, the second WAGR weekend, everybody is family. So please, you're family now. We're not going to let you go. So I'm going to talk about research, what's been happening, what the IWSA is doing, why it matters, and how you can be a part of it. First, though, I'm Kelly Trout. I've kind of been around forever. I'm a retired nurse. My daughter Caroline has WAGR syndrome. She just turned 44 years old, which makes me old. And I was one of the moms who helped get the IWSA off the ground. When Caroline was young, there is essentially no information about WAGR. In fact, WAGR was not even a term. That was so frustrating that there was no information about WAGR. If nobody knew what it was, then I had no way to know how to help her. So it became a passion of mine to help create that information and to share it with others. So this is going to be a very brief overview. WAGR syndrome is a very complex disorder and it is extremely rare. So the IWSA has to focus our efforts. Our research priorities are Wilms tumor, aniridia, identifying the other conditions that go along with WAGR syndrome, and because they have such an enormous impact on quality of life, both for our children and for families, behavior problems. I've also added the money sign here because research is very expensive. The IWSA does not typically directly fund research. Kind of moved a little bit in that direction though. So talk about that a little bit more. The IWSA is a very small organization. Sherry talked about our budget. But it's interesting what you can do when people get motivated. One of the most important ways the IWSA encourages, facilitates, stimulates research is through the WAGR patient registry. The patient registry has turbocharged research on WAGR syndrome. The registry is basically just an online questionnaire. It is free, it's easy, it's private and secure. It is the single most important thing we can do to help our children, to help other kids with WAGR syndrome, to get researchers interested in WAGR syndrome, and to make a brighter future for all of our kids. And how do we do that? Data, information. By collecting data, we bring researchers. If you build it, they will come. That's exactly what has happened. So we currently have, give or take, about 180 participants in the registry. Some of the data that we have, I would say about 40% of the participants are from the US. Interestingly enough, 40%, or I'm sorry, 25% have not specified where they're from. About 9% are from the UK and Northern Ireland. And the rest, I guess that's about 25%, are from 29 other countries. So pretty much everywhere. Sex, you can see pretty evenly divided between male and female, although there are also lots of unspecified, unknown, and a few intersex. As you may be aware, there's a subset of kids with WAGR syndrome whose sex cannot be determined at birth. So that probably accounts for quite a few of the unsure, unknown. And then by age, that blue in the pie chart there, 0 to 10 years. So we have a predominance of very young kids. And then the red is 11 to 20. So the next is also quite young. And then the percentage gets smaller and smaller as the participants get older. You can infer from that, gee, maybe people with WAGR don't live that long. That's not a good assumption. There are multiple reasons why that's not the case. We actually have more and more older folks with WAGR who are joining the organization. So it's a combination of factors. It's extremely important that we have participants in the registry who are older. Not only are their medical histories longer, but they're more diverse. They have more experiences, not only more conditions that they can include, but sometimes they've had surprisingly healthy lives, and we need to know that as well. So you older folks with WAGR syndrome, we need you in the registry just as much as we need younger kids. What have we been doing with all of this data? All of these things. We're publishing the data. We don't identify the individuals in the data. It's all aggregate, put it all together. But we publish this information. For example, the results from the WAGR syndrome patient registry, characterizing the spectrum. It's a whole spectrum. All the kids tend to have lots of similarities, but they're also very different. And recommendations for medical care. You can print out this article and take it to your doctor and say, here's how a child with WAGR syndrome should be cared for. Here's what to look for. Here are the tests that need to be done throughout the lifespan. Incredibly helpful. And until this, were not available. This is the power of the registry. All of these other articles as well. We're publishing this information so that you know what your children need, your doctors know what your children need, and researchers begin to see what needs to be investigated. The pace of research on WAGR syndrome continues to accelerate. Another reason research on WAGR is expanding and is moving forward is because of families like John and Beth Morris. The Miranda's Mission WAGR Syndrome Research Fund partnered with IWSA and another small organization called WAGR Warriors to sponsor work on WAGR at the Kalish Lab at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and some remarkable things began to happen. The work being done there has made a big difference for all of our kids, and it will continue to do so for a long time. That work has been unlocking the traits and genes associated with WAGR. It hasn't been an enormous amount of money, but it's been significant and it's accomplished a lot. We hope that this will continue for quite a while. And again, thank you to the Morrises and to the Miranda's Mission Research Fund for beginning this effort and for continuing to support it. So moving on to aniridia research. Some of you, many of you may be familiar with an organization called Aniridia Europe. They are an NGO made up of scientists, doctors, researchers, and patient organizations specific to aniridia from many different countries. For quite a long time, they have been doing terrific work. A couple of years ago, a few of us in North America decided that we needed to step up our game and provide a platform in North America that could partner with Aniridia Europe and collaborate with them. Fortunately, Aniridia Europe welcomed our efforts, and we have begun to do just that. We are now working collaboratively with the same mission as Aniridia Europe, and that is also turbocharged aniridia-related research. Basically, every other year, Aniridia Europe holds a conference that brings together scientists, clinical researchers, physicians, and patient representatives, patients themselves. And then every other opposite year, Aniridia North America hosts a scientific symposium. Aniridia is kind of a small world, so a lot of the same researchers attend both conferences. Both of these meetings are critical to solving the puzzle of aniridia. And it is wonderful and extraordinary to see all of these very dedicated people working and so passionate about all of our kids and all patients with aniridia. One of them's right here. Now, as far as Wilms tumor, I use this because the Children's Oncology Group is essentially like Aniridia North America. It is a large group that conducts research on childhood cancer in North America. There's another group called SIOP, which is the European counterpart for studying childhood cancer in Europe. Fortunately, even though these two groups have different approaches to Wilms tumor treatment, they both have the same good outcomes. They have recently begun to work together. And as Sherry mentioned, I've spent years worming my way onto the Children's Oncology Group committee, because it's so important to me that children with WAGR syndrome, who so frequently develop Wilms tumor, but are not like typical children with Wilms tumor. It's so important to me that they get the special attention that they need. And finally, with me at the table, they will get that special attention. So, and getting these two groups together, making certain that all children with WAGR and Wilms tumor get the special attention they need. So that's beginning to happen. So again, back to our research priorities, Wilms tumor, we're beginning to see terrific things happening for kids with WAGR and Wilms tumor, but also all kids with a cancer predisposition syndrome, getting the attention that they need. Aniridia, the collaboration across the world, I think, is just exploding. And a lot of that is thanks to Aniridia Europe. Other conditions, Miranda's mission and what Children's Hospital in Philadelphia are doing. The one gap that we really have is behavior problems. And again, I think if we polled our group, the biggest issue we have is behavior problems. 80% of our families report moderate to severe behavior problems. And that's an incredible impact on the individual with WAGR and on the whole family. So that's an area that we truly need to focus our efforts on. It's a really complicated, multifactorial problem. But just because it's complicated doesn't mean it's impossible, right? So we're getting a start with one of our speakers today. Don't want to miss that. In conclusion, the WAGR patient registry, there is a one-pager in your folder about how to get in the registry. Do it. Do it today. Do it this weekend. Do it this week. If you have any questions, any issues, I promise I will hold your hand. You can call me. You can email me. Any help you need, we can give it. Update it. If you're already in it, go back in. Are there any new diagnoses that your child has? Put them in there. Update your registry. Consider participating in other kinds of research. For example, in the Children's Hospital, Miranda's Mission research, a whole group of families were asked to provide samples to spit in a tube. And they did it and provided their actual medical records for that study. That was incredible. It was easy to do, but the information that they gave was priceless. So if and when you are asked to do that, please consider it serious. Going to meetings like the Aniridia Europe conference, which welcomes patients. We have WAGR families that attend that conference. So if you have the opportunity, consider it. Finally, research results. We post all the results of the research that we are involved in on our website. So if you want to be up to date, WAGR.org is the place. And I would just want to thank the research team at Children's Hospital, the Kalish Lab, just a phenomenal, passionate team. And then the leaders of Aniridia Europe and Aniridia North America. Again, you won't meet more passionate people. These are the folks who are driving the future. And if and when you meet them, you'll have such hope. And finally, to our kids and to their parents, they are building a better, brighter future.